Hello and welcome. If you were in lesson 1 where we looked at all the notes, then welcome back. If you've stumbled across this video and you're brand new to music, I would suggest going back and listening to lesson 1, where we discover all the notes in music. If you don't know what an A sharp is or a D flat is, or you look at a piano and you just don't even know what you're looking at, the notes, go back and watch lesson 1. It's important to get on top of that. A lot of you, I think, would already be aware of notes, and I included lesson 1 just to scoop in all those people who may have never looked at music before in their lives. So today it gets more fun. We're going to look at keys and how keys can open up light bulbs in your mind to realize how music kind of works together. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm going to play 2 jams to you now. Which one do you like? Which one do you not like? And why? Okay, 2 performances. I'm hoping you noticed the first one didn't sound very good and the second one was a big improvement. That's because in the first one, my friend Stevie there was playing out of key, what we call out of key. In the second one, he found his key and he was playing the right notes. Now with guitar, it can be a little bit difficult to tell sometimes because the nature of a guitar is they're not quite perfectly in tune. They have intonation and things that can always make them sound a little bit wobbly, and they're tricky to record. So I really want you to know what crap sounds like. So just as well for me, Stevie is a virtuoso at piano and guitar as well. So he's going to play a little bit more just for a second to leave no doubt in your mind. So, why torture people like this? Why ask people to subscribe to your channel and like your videos and then play them some of the worst music the world's ever heard? Well, I wanted you to know what out of key sounds like. You may not even be aware of keys yet. That's the whole purpose of this video. But I want you to know what it sounds like to be out of key. Last time we went through all the notes in music and we covered every note. Now, the bad news is you can't just play any note. Otherwise, hey, we'd all be Eddie Van Halen overnight. You can't just play any notes. You've got to play the notes that are in the key that the song is in. And to put that simply, all the people jamming, whether they're playing chords, bass, soloing, or singing, they all have to be using the same collection of notes. And I'm going to explain today how those collections of notes come about. So everybody's playing in the key of G. You've probably heard that before, but have no idea what it means. And fair enough. Everybody's playing in the key of A. Same thing. So what we have to figure out is, how do we get these keys? And yeah, what are we talking about here? Now, you may have dealt with sheet music in the past, and you go, oh yeah, the key of G has that one F sharp in it, and the key of C has no sharps in it. The key of F has that B flat in it. You might have read staves before in music and be aware of that. There is a simpler way to know all this stuff. Now, last time I got you to repeat after me, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, I didn't see you all do it, but I'm pretty confident most people could have got that. So, well done. This time, repeat after me. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And again, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Okay, I'm going to put up on the screen here all the notes from last time. What a tone is a jump of two notes. So if you're on A, a tone above A is B. If you're on A sharp, a tone above A sharp is C. Have a look at have a look down below. Basically, you jump a note. So if you look at B, 2 above B is C sharp. So a tone above B is C sharp. If you look at C, 2 above C is D, so a tone above C is D. I think you get the idea. You jump a note, it's a gap of 2. Okay, semitone. Same thing as semicircle, or I don't know, semi-something. It's half anyway. So a semitone is half a tone. So if the tone was jumping up 2 notes, a semitone is going to the next possible note. Now these are intervals I'm talking about, gaps. So here's a note. A tone is this gap to that note. A semitone is this gap to that note. So looking down below, a semitone above A is A sharp. A semitone above A sharp is B. A semitone above B is C, because there's no B sharp. You get the idea. Going up a semitone is going up to the next possible note. Going up a tone is double that. Going up to the second next possible note. Okay, so when I say tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, what that is the major scale, or the notes in a key. Now the obvious question is, well, which key? So tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. What key is that? Whatever note you start on is that key. So since we've been dealing with A so much, let's just keep it alphabetical and start with A. You start on an A. If you then go tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, you've played all the notes in the key of A. If you start on a C, dong, and you go tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, you've played all the notes in the key of C. So you get the idea. Whatever note you start on, that is the notes in the key you're about to get. So just to drill it home one more time, if you start on a G and go tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, you just played all the notes in the key of G. Okay, at this point, I'm going to go back to my friend the keyboard to demonstrate this, so you get the idea. Let's put into practice what we just said. If we wanted to play the notes in the key of A, you start on an A. That's what they call the root note. It's a very simple concept. Whatever key you're in, that note is the root note. So if you're in the key of A, an A note is the root note. If you're in the key of C, a C note is the root note. In the key of D, D is the root note. You get the idea. So start on the root note. Okay, we're starting on an A, we're going to play the key of A. If you remember the intervals, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Okay, tone first, which means we skip one and go to the next one. Tone again means we skip one and go to the next one, to C sharp. Semitone means we don't skip any and go to the D. Tone means we skip one and go to E. Tone again means we skip one and go to F sharp. Tone again means skip one to G sharp. Semitone means skip none and go back to A. Once again, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Don't get confused. These are not the notes, remember. This is the gap between the notes. Tone to B, tone to C sharp, semitone to D, tone to E, tone to F sharp, tone to G sharp, semitone to A. And what you get is the very familiar do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, if we did the notes in the key of C, root note of C, tone to D, tone to E, semitone straight to F, tone to G, tone to A, tone to B, semitone back to C. Sorry if I miss notes or almost miss them. I'm actually looking through the camera while I do this. Makes it a bit hard to see the keyboard properly. All right, once again in C. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. One final one, the key of G. So what do? Pop quiz. You go for the root note, which is G. So tone, skip one to A. Tone, skip one to B. Semitone, go straight to C. Tone, skip one to D. Tone, skip one to E. Tone, skip one to F sharp. Semitone to G. And you get, guess what? Okay, if you've played piano before or any other instrument and you've read off a stave, there's probably a familiarity here to you. You might remember the key of G just has the one sharp, F sharp. Key of C has no sharps or flats. Key of A had three, the C sharp, the F sharp, and the G sharp. You might have been forced to kind of just remember that with music you've done in the past, reading off staves, but now you understand the logic behind it. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone will deliver you that result each time. So that's that. Now, I'm going to explain how do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and Maria sitting there playing tunes to Kids on the Hills isn't actually a childish concept. This is what all music theory comes from. There's a reason she used that song. All music theory starts with that, and it's used in all sorts of bands that you listen to and whatnot. Okay, what did we just learn and why? You probably got reminiscence now of Sound of Music, and you're thinking, cringe, cringe, what's going on? Don't be fooled. As we go through and learn about theory, you're going to discover that certain scales have a certain sound to them. The major scale, which is where it all begins, you can hear elements of it in Green Day, Blink-182, The Beatles, Bob Dylan. I could go on and on and on, but it is one sound, the major scale, and it's a very, very common one. As we go further on, you're going to discover we're going to branch away from the major scale, and you're going to go, oh, that sounds a bit like AC/DC. That sounds a bit like B.B. King, like variations and things like that. For now, though, just the major scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that chord progression I was jamming over before purposely badly. And I am going to randomly play some notes out of the major scale and create a melody over the top of it. And what you're going to hear is like just notes. I'm limiting myself to just the notes in the scale. You'll find you can't go wrong. And every note doesn't sound bad. You can just start hitting away and everything will kind of work. So I am by no means a virtuoso piano player. Okay, I'm going to drop the friend Stevie thing now. I think we all knew it was me in a wig. I'm by no means a virtuoso piano player, so I'm just going to even limit myself to purposely just sort of going bong, bong, bong like this on notes. So you can get a glimpse of how the major scale sounds. It will be in key with the chords underneath, because those chords are limited to the same notes in the major scale. Now, you might be getting a little bit confused, going, well, hang on, they're chords, they're not notes. Chords are just collections of notes. When you strum through or hit on a piano, you're playing a group of notes together. Now, as long as the notes in those chords are limited to just the major scale, then they're playing the same notes you are when you sing a melody, play a bass line, or do a solo. So what's going to happen is they're hitting the same group of notes that you are. You're both in key, and you can't go wrong. Some notes at some point may make you go, oh, that's great, what a cool bit of melody. But no note is going to make you go, ooh, whoa, that was wrong. So you cannot sound bad, unless, of course, you have the worst timing on earth, which is always a possibility. But you cannot sound bad. Some things might sound more beautiful and melodic than others, but you cannot sound bad. So let me demonstrate. I'm going to do 2 passes here over the guitar chords. The first one, I'm just going to plonk at notes that I let my head follow some basic melody without trying to get to anything. And you're going to listen to it and you'll get colors in your head of like, oh, Blink-182, semisonic, all sorts of things. You'll go, oh, okay, that's the major sound. It can be rocking if the chords underneath are rocking, but it sounds pleasant. It sounds happy. A band like Blink-182 may have all the classic lyrics and pounding guitars and all the rest of it, but the music is kind of happy sounding. Same with a bunch of Green Day, can be the same sort of thing. Just have a listen. Think of like colors of like Blink-182, semisonic, that type of thing, and have a listen to just hitting at random notes. The second pass I'm going to do to simplify this even more, to dumb it down as far as it can go, I'm going to solo by just going up the major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, then down the major scale. Up it again, down it again. Sounds dumb, but you'd be surprised how that doesn't actually sound bad. And this is emphasizing the fact that you can't go wrong. And this is where people start to improvise. They realize, hey, if I'm using this collection of notes, I can't hit a bad one. Some at some point may just sound better than others, but I can't hit a bad one. You get the confidence to just go, wow, what the hell? I'm going to improvise a solo or a melody or a bass line. So have a listen. Plonking at notes to create some random melody, and it is random. This is not something I planned out. It's going to be just there. Then I'm going to go up and down the major scale, straight up, straight down. Have a listen and realize that that actually works. All right, guitar time. Now, visualizing this on the guitar gets actually pretty easy. Each fret is a semitone. So in the same way you might start on a note on the keyboard and go through every single note upwards, that's the same thing as going every fret. So if you start on an A, say as an A just there on the E string, then you're going to have A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, etc., etc. It's just like going up through every note on a keyboard. So if every fret is a semitone above the one below it, that means if you go up 2, that's a tone. So it makes the tone-tone semitone thing pretty easy. So let's start with the A string, like so. Then it's the open string back here. A tone above that means to go up 1, 2. 2 frets like that. Then another tone, up 2 frets. A semitone up 1 fret. Tone up 2 frets. Tone up 2 frets. Tone up 2 frets. Semitone back to the A, which is 1 octave higher than the open string. So tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Again, going up 1 fret is going up a semitone. Going up 2 frets is going up a tone. Don't get confused by the open string. Think of the open string as the 0 fret. To go up 2 from 0 means to go up to 2. So you start with the open, then you go to 2. So tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, which gives you do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now the cool thing is the strings, E, A, D, G, B, E. That means you can play each of those scales exactly the same way. Whatever string you start on, you follow the same pattern. It's always going to be upper tone. So it's going to be like 0, 2, 2, 5. So 0, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12. Or, so starting on the E, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone is the E major scale. Starting on the G, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone is the G major scale. Now, one thing you can do that's kind of cool here to get used to this a bit, get used to sort of jamming on your own to the scale, pick something like the G, like this, and just practice playing the G in between each note. Like that. Then when you're used to that, start mucking around like that first jam I did on the keyboard where you're just picking notes. That sort of thing. And if you're a bit proficient with this hand, you can do a bit of a that type of thing, and it gets you used to the fact you keep going back to that G all the time. It sort of creates a rhythm underneath for you to solo over a little bit. So that's how you get all your major scales. Now, if you happen to be a little bit more advanced here at the guitar, you'll obviously figure out you don't need to keep following up open strings like this. So you could start with A, say with E. You could go E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. So you can start to play across strings like that. And yes, then you get your shapes like that as well, which we'll get to all of that. But all you want to do now is just get familiar with this major scale, the major scale of the key that you're in. So I'm going to recap. What I suggest you do for practice, the very next video is going to be on the chords and the keys. And that's when it's going to come to life big. I'm going to start filming that tomorrow. That will be coming very shortly. But first of all here, just get used to the notes in the keys. So the progression that I played earlier that I was jamming over is a G, C, E minor, D, like that. Not an uncommon progression at all. There'd be tons of songs over the years using that progression. I was doing this sort of like, type of thing, but G, C, E minor, D. They're all chords out of the key of G. So what that means is you get your G major scale and you practice over that. Like that. All those little bits. So here's a teaser of what comes in the future. When you learn your scale like this, that's the G major scale all across those strings. Then you can start to like a little bit out of tune there, but all those little bits and pieces that come in there. Okay, let's put this together for you into something you can practically practice now. First of all, make sure you sit and think on the theory, even go back and watch it again, and then sit with your guitar. I assume you're probably learning guitar. If you're here to learn music theory, it doesn't matter what you play, that's good. If you're here to learn piano, I'm probably not the right channel to follow. But if you get your guitar or whatever, say guitar, then okay, I've written out the notes in the key of E. I've done my tone, tone, semitone. I understand what they are. Find them on the guitar. Okay, then muck around with a bit of that sort of thing. Just getting used to jamming with them. Okay, so get used to that. Then specifically go to the key of G. Let's pick G to start with, because the progression I put down earlier, I'll loop it for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll just put it up with a blank screen up on the channel so you can have something to jam over. Or if you're already pretty competent at your guitar, the progression G, C, E minor, D, just put it down and then use your scale. Write a singing line. You'll find it's very easy to come up with a line that works. It may not make you go, that is the best melody ever, but it will sound good. It will sound competent. You will sound like you are writing a song. And that's what we want you to start doing. Start going, okay, am I doing a solo here? Am I writing a singing melody? I mean, the best solos, if they're not playing fast, kind of are the same thing as a singing melody anyway. But you're just creating, you're writing. You've gone, okay, the chords are in G, this scale is in G, I'm going to write over the pattern, I'm going to create. And that's where we want you at. That's your first step to writing a song, to improvising, to soloing, all these sorts of things. Next time I'm going to explain why those chords are in the key of G. Currently I've just said, here's a pattern, go for it. But I'm going to explain why they are in the key of G next time. And when we do that, every key will be opened up to you. You could put down a chord progression in A, and then you can practice soloing or writing a song in A. You can put one down in C, one down in D, and practice writing a song and soloing in C or D. But your homework for just this first bit is to just understand that major scale, tone, tone, semitone. Understand it. Understand how it works. Like, I'll put the chords down, or if you can play your own, if you happen to know some chords, like, okay, in G, we've got G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, and one to not worry about it, half diminished. Don't worry about that. So G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor. If you happen to know all those chords, you can muck around and create your own progression. Otherwise, I'll put up 2 minutes of mine. You can practice over that. Just practice constructing melody. And that's it. You're well on your way at that point. You will jump forward in leaps as you practice this, because the theory side of it at first is not huge. So you'll jump forward in leaps. So that's we're going to leave you out right now. The next one we do the chords, and it's going to be mega, because then you can truly write. You can put down a chord progression in a key, you can write a melody over it, and you can go nuts. One thing I was going to mention, sorry, before I may have misled you slightly when I said the bass player can just do whatever they want as long as they're staying in the key. If they're mucking around doing bits and pieces in between chords and that, like, this type of thing, then absolutely, if they're doing bits of solo-y stuff like that. But the bass generally has to kind of follow the chords. You don't have to, but if you spend all your life in the song, life is a bad word. If you spend all the time in the song avoiding the note of the chord, so if the chord's G and you never land on a G, if it's C, you never land on a C, yes, as a bass player, things will start to sound odd. We will get to that. You'll understand that better. But I assume you're probably not playing bass at the moment. You're learning to muck around and solo and all that sort of thing. So that's your homework. If you have any questions, down below. Any questions at all. This stuff is light bulb stuff. So at first you're like, I don't get it. Watch it again. Think it through. Get out a pen and paper. Think it through. At some point it will go and like, and then you really start to understand. So thank you. Lesson 3 with the chords, which is the really cool, fun one, is coming very, very soon. It's not going to be a long one, and it's going to come straight after this. One final thing. This is the beginning. You'll probably come across people who say, oh yeah, but has he shown you the minor keys? Has he shown you the Mixolydian mode? All that stuff is coming. You need to just get a good grip on this first. Any questions, put them below. And thanks for watching. One last thing. I know, I'm sorry, I do this a lot. I'm addicted to the encore, and I'm also obsessed with making sure people really understand a concept. I just wanted to quickly say, I remember kind of where you're at now, and you've probably got thoughts going through your mind of like, I'm soloing one scale up and down one string, and what about the rest of the strings? And also you might be thinking of things like, I know there's a pentatonic scale. I learnt a pentatonic scale. How does that fit into anything? First of all, I promise you, if you stick with this course, I guess, whatever I'm doing here, if you stick with it, you'll understand so much. You'll understand all this. It will all fit into place. So stick with it. Pick up the info you can get wherever else. Doesn't hurt at all. But try and stick this through, getting to know all these bits, and you will come out at a place where you really know stuff. The other thing I was going to say, in terms of all the notes on the neck, remember, like a piano, there's 7 octaves. A guitar neck, there is many places you can play a G note or a C note or what have you. So while you're going up and down one string now, the theory doesn't change. It's simply just... It's just where you put your fingers. There's no more notes or anything like that. It's just the octaves of the same scale. Just where you put your fingers changes. So while you may be going up and down one string now, you won't be forever. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks again.